You're live.
Still waiting for quorum. Just hold on.
Here we go. We're good now.
Thank you. Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Bill Lavallo. I chair the Belmont Middle and High School Building Committee. Today is Thursday, May 18th. It is 8 o'clock in the morning, coming to you live via Belmont Media. Thank you, Jeff, for handling the controls back at the station. Today is we're at meeting number 160. We've been at it for a while, and I'll start by going through some procedures, and then we'll get right into the meeting. So we'll establish a quorum by using a roll call, and that will help confirm attendance. And then we'll also be voting by roll call voting. I'll ask people to keep their mics muted when conversations are going on, and then when it's time for you to speak, you could unmute your mic so that we don't have distractions going on while others are talking. When we vote, I'll ask the committee members to turn all your mics on at once so we could move through that quickly. When you are talking, please state your name so that folks that are listening will understand who's speaking. And committee and consultants received the meeting material on Tuesday prior to today's meeting. And following today's meeting, that material will be posted on the Belmont Middle and High School Building Committee website for all to access. There will be time for public comments later on in the meeting today. When you're invited into that section, if you have something that you'd like to comment on, please raise your hand by using that hand waving button and your smartphone or computer. And if you're on a dial-up phone, press #9. Our co-host will call on you then. And finally, if at any time we lose audio, we'll suspend the meeting until such time as the audio is corrected. And with that, I'll go through an attendance with roll call. Emma Thurston, good morning. No, Emma, okay. Oh, Emma also said she would not be able to attend. I forgot that. Milestone inspection today. Okay, Patrice Garvin, are you there?
Morning.
Good morning, Patrice. John Phelan. Not John, okay. Pat Bruce, good morning.
Good morning, Bill.
I've got the sun beaming in my eye right now, so I'm having a hard time saying it'll move in a few minutes. Diane Miller.
Good morning, Bill.
Tom Caputo, good morning.
Good morning, Bill.
Joel Mooney, good morning.
Good morning, Bill.
Kate Bowen, good morning.
Good morning.
Jamie Shea, good morning.
Morning, Bill.
We have you until 8:45?
Correct.
Okay. School's almost out. Okay, Bob McLaughlin, good morning.
Morning, Bill, here.
Chris Messer, good morning.
Good morning.
Joe DiStefano, you here? Oh, no, Joe, okay. Mike McAllister, good morning. No, Mike, he'll come. Amy Zuccarello, good morning.
Good morning.
And Bill Lavallo, good morning, that's me. I'll come back and just double check on that. We've got a few people I think that will be coming in, and then we'll just go through a few extra people here. Jennifer Hewitt, are you here this morning? Belmont Finance Director? No, okay. Carla Koza, our District Reconfiguration Transition Director. I see you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Lisa Gibelerio, our scribe. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Tom Katsunis from CHA. Good morning, Tom.
Good morning, Bill.
Don White from CHA. Good morning, Don.
He is on. It might be muted.
Yeah, right. Sandra Saccone, are you with us? Good morning from CHA. Okay. Justin Ferdenze from CHA. Good morning, Justin.
Morning, Bill.
Tony Del Greco from CHA, good morning.
Morning, Bill.
From Perkins and Will, do we have Brooke Travis today? No, okay. Vitel Albuquerque, good morning.
Good morning, I'm here. I think it's just me today.
Okay, we'll go through the rest. From Skanska, Dan Landeville. Okay, Jim Kraft from Skanska, good morning.
I'm not sure Jim's on, Bill. I think
Okay,
it's just myself. Oh, sure, go ahead, continue.
so Mike Morrison from Skanska, good morning.
Good morning, and Adrian Majewski is also in the room for Skanska as well. Good morning.
I'll write you down as Adrian M. till I could learn how to spell your name. Good morning, Mike, Adrian.
Good morning.
Just gonna go back and double check. I see Mike McAllister. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, everybody.
Joe DiStefano, I don't see him yet. John Phelan, I don't see him. Okay, well, we have a quorum. First, I'd like to welcome Amy. Amy Zaccarello is a new school committee representative. Amy, first of all, congratulations being elected to the school committee. And secondly, I don't know if I should congratulate you to being on our committee, but I absolutely think it's a wonderful thing to see you here and to help us get us across the finish line.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm happy to be here and I'm excited to, be involved, at least in the tail end, of all the good work that you've been doing.
Amy, only 3 more years left for us. So I think your tail end is probably a figure of speech here. I want to thank Kate. She's going to stay on. She's also a Belmont parent. She'll be a representative in that capacity. And Kate's often offered a tremendous amount of benefit to our committee. So I'm happy that she's going to continue on. Okay, I'll show the. So we are now just, if people are counting, we are 16 for a full committee. That requires us to have 9 for a quorum, if you're doing the math. Okay, I'll share the agenda as I usually do and just go through that. Hopefully you can see this. Our next building committee meetings right now is scheduled and they should be in your calendar, committee members. Our June meeting is June 22nd, it's a Thursday, 8 a.m. It's virtual meeting. Actually, all our meetings going forward right now are virtual. And then our meeting in July is July 20th. It's also a Thursday, 8 a.m. Both of those right now are scheduled as business meetings, as this one is. We will review and approve meeting minutes. We have 2 to get through for this meeting. Then we'll go through our project management update from our 3 groups. We'll review the schedule of where we are. We'll update project cost events. This is where we spend a good deal of our time, or our budget, basically. We'll discuss pending changes as they look to be issued. We'll review some change orders for changes that were issued, but these change orders haven't been reviewed, so they're pending. Then we do have a prime contract change order for approval, and we'll go through a dozen or so of those changes ready for approval. We have a couple, I think 3 technology and move change orders to approve as we're getting very close to the final move of the middle school. I'm sorry, not change orders, purchase orders, my mistake. We'll pay bills. We'll get a construction update. We have a open meeting law complaint to review, and then we'll entertain comments from Belmont residents. I don't have any other business at the time, but we'll check at the end. Again, our next meeting is Thursday, June 22nd at 8 a.m. Any questions, committee members, on the agenda?
Bill,
Yeah.
we have iPhone who joined. I don't know if that's a committee member or not, just for your information.
Okay, usually the only person that we're missing is Joe DiStefano, and that's not his distinguishing characteristics. Okay, so
You asked questions on the agenda.
Yes.
On the approval of the minutes, I think we ought to move to approve the minutes of the 13th. But I'd ask that the minutes of the 28th meeting be deferred until, as you know, there's another open meeting complaint. I'd like to review the tape before we actually approve those minutes. So.
okay, so we're going to. I'm not sharing. I don't think at this point. So fair enough.
Not sharing.
Okay, sorry. Okay, so we're going to just approve one set of meeting minutes. These were for Thursday, April 13th. And these were distributed to meeting members. I received no comments individually, but do any committee members have comments for these meeting minutes? Okay, then hearing none, I'll take a motion to approve meeting minutes for Thursday, April 13th.
Move approval, Bob McLaughlin.
Pat, second.
Okay, we'll go through a roll call vote for approval. If you weren't at the meeting, you could just abstain. Okay, all in favor, Patrice Garvin?
Bill, I'm going to abstain. I wasn't there.
Right. I don't think John Phelan is with us yet. No. Pat Bruce?
Yes.
Diane Miller?
Yes.
Tom Caputo?
Yes.
Joe Mooney? Yes. Kate Bowen?
Abstain.
Jamie Shea?
Yes.
Bob McLaughlin?
Yes.
Chris Messer?
Yes.
Joe DeStep? No, Joe's not with us. Mike McAllister?
Yes.
Amy Zuccarello?
Abstain.
Okay, and Bill Lavallo, yes. And as Bob said, I'll accept that to defer meeting minutes for Friday, April 28th until our next meeting. With that, we'll go right into project management update to hear what's been going on from CHA. We usually start with CHA and then we'll go to Perkins and Will, and then we'll finish up with Skanska. This is project update, not really construction update. So is this Tony?
It is.
Okay, I'll zoom in a little. I'm sorry, it's a lot of writing here, but I think committee members have probably seen a lot of this. Go right ahead, Tony. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, you're right, Bill. A lot of these haven't changed over the months. Basically, everything is the same. Weekly IT coordination meetings is somewhat new. We're deep in the weeds there, coordinating the efforts of getting all those items installed in the upcoming months. The thing that isn't on here is the coordination with the administration on some tours with our middle school teachers, some high school teachers, and we have some of the students coming in at the end of the month to tour the new facility ahead of them entering in the fall. It kind of in line with that is the internal moves that's being coordinated with CHA and the administration and Skanska for both phase 1 into phase 2 moves, where temporary classrooms have been distributed there, and now they're moving into the phase 2 area, as well as the moves from Chenery during the summer and getting them set up in the new facility in the middle school. And that's about it. All site-related supervision is basically the same.
Thank you, Tony. And I do want to mention something that Tony talked about. Yesterday, Carla Koza did organize a teacher walkthrough for middle school teachers. They'll be moving up here at 1:40 yesterday. I had an opportunity to stop by while they were gathered before they went off and ran to their classrooms to look at what they were getting. And on behalf of the building committee, I thanked them and I congratulated them for what will be a fantastic experience for themselves and for the students. And I know you folks would have been, you committee members would have said the same thing to them. We may not see them in a group like this, but certainly they were pretty excited to be released by Carla to start running to their classrooms. So it's kind of fun to be with them to start. Carla, there's a lot of excitement out there right now, isn't there?
Oh my gosh, yeah. They didn't want me to stop talking so they can run and see things. So they really wanted to see, and they were just excited. It's a beautiful space, and they really know how fortunate they are, and the kids will be. So it was great.
I had an opportunity to meet the new principal of the 7th and 8th middle school, Russ.
Cooperstein?
Yes.
Cooperstein, yep.
Cooperstein. And he starts officially on July 1st, but he made his way over to Belmont yesterday just to be with the group and start to get a feel for the space too. So, and I don't think this was his first walkthrough. I think so.
He's been through a couple times, and he'll be there when the kids come through as well.
Absolutely. Okay, so next group is Perkins and Will. And I guess Vital, since you're the only one representing today, I guess it will be you.
That's me. Good morning, everyone. Vital Albuquerque, Perkins and Will. I won't go through this whole list. And on top of the typical meetings and reviews of submittals and RFIs, et cetera, I think as we're getting close to the end of this middle school phase, we've been doing a lot of punch lists where we go around and kind of make sure everything's built according to the to design and there's no mistakes or things need to be touched up. So we've gone through all the exterior and classroom spaces at this point. We're just left with some corridors and bathrooms and such. And then also what's very exciting is that we've had a lot of the FF&E delivery happening last week or so. So a lot of the classroom student desks and chairs have arrived, the art tables, they've all arrived and are being installed as well. So we've been working through that as well.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. Okay, a lot on your hands right now. And I'll turn it over to Mike and/or Adrian to walk us through some of the project management activities from Skanska's side.
Yep, Mike Morrison, project manager with Skanska. So a lot of what was already said, I think for us in the field, it's a lot of punch lists and taking advantage of the schedule to address punch lists before things like furniture show up. So, you know, in our process, we have rooms punch listed. So the items have been identified. We've back punched to address them. They've been rechecked, and then the furniture and the final cleaning kind of transitions with those activities. So for us, that's kind of our sequence. Most of the contractors in the building are on punch list activities at this point, which is good news for us. So that's kind of been the work, and then obviously the work in the field. The one thing that's picked up and continues to pick up on our end in April was just the summer activities. So we've talked about it before. I believe the committee's aware of, you know, the remaining work we have once students get out. So we've been having meetings with our subcontractors, not just the foreman, but the office as well. We've wrote down our schedule shift by shift in terms of work activities and manpower and expectations of where we need to be at the end of the shift. So it's kind of taken our normal approach and schedule, which is always very detailed, and you know, dialing it in even further to get manpower and, you know, production commitments by shift. And that's both, you know, first shift, second shift, and by this day this needs to be done so that this follow-on trade, there's no complication. So it's really, a lot of it now is, it's almost kind of like the calm before the storm on our end, to really make sure we have all our ducks in a row to execute well over the summer. So that's been a good portion of our efforts this month.
So our new principal, Russ, had a great question for me yesterday. He said, so when are the inspections scheduled? Do you want to talk about that? I said, well, Russ, inspections have been happening quite frequently, both with the design team and the building officials, right?
Correct. So we've had walkthroughs with all the local officials at this point with what can be turned over. So, you know, phase two, let's call it 80% of it is done, tested, ready. And in theory, the systems are at a point where we could get testing and sign off, but without the stair done, we obviously can't. So we're not waiting. We've been taking the approach of testing and validating and inspecting all the spaces that are available and holding off, you know, exceptions for the spaces we know we have to get to this summer. So, you know, electrical inspections, fire alarm, plumbing, all the things we can get to for the work that's done, finished and cleaned is intact. And we have a very detailed list of what's outstanding. And those are the ones that are always on our critical path for the summer. So the inspections are there. And then to take it a step further, it's a hand in hand with Perkins and Will and their team as well, of when they need to send their consultants through to do their tests on that final phase. So it's a lot of work and coordination, but we're really set up to do it well this summer. So
good. Any questions then on CHA, Perkins and Will, or Skanska on the project management from the committee members? Well, Mike, while you have the mic, that wasn't really cool. we should just move right into just pull it up, the schedule piece of our project.
Yeah.
Our meeting where you're going to talk about the project schedule. And if committee members notice the schedule, it's getting shorter and shorter. We're, from my count, we're 13 weeks from completion on your schedule.
Correct. So Bill hit it. A lot of these activities are, they've shrunk. These are summary level activities. So each one of these things, when we look at it, is summarizing a series of, anywhere from 15 to 20 activities that feed up to these bars. And as we progress through punch list and furniture deliveries, those come off the list. So these are kind of what's left. They look simple, like there's, 12 of them, but there's a series of hundreds that these feed into. And really it's site improvements. So that's the field work. We're doing well there. The piles are going away, and we're able to tackle more and more site work with each day. So we're set up there. We're pouring sidewalks outside to complete all the walkways from Hiddinger Street. So the schedule outside is going very well. And the biggest things for us is punch list. We see the line item for PV as well. So that's something that's gearing up as we get closer and closer to finishing this project. So that's another series of tasks for us. I think overall, this schedule lines up with what we've been showing, and I think this is what we have left. So I'm not sure.
Questions? Yeah, no. Any questions from community members? There is product, by the way, add in site for PV.
Correct.
As of this week, right?
Yep. Yep.
I guess my one question, when do we expect the backside of the building to be opened?
You're talking about like on the north side of the field house, Chris?
Correct.
So we really can't tackle that till after the last day of school. So one of those on the east side of the field house, we still have an egress path that we need to maintain. So as soon as students are done, and right around the 15th, or essentially when we're going after the 10 parking lot, where you have to remove that that path as well. So we've been talking to Dave Blaze on a little bit about how that transition is going to work, but it's going to be one of the first things we go after once students get out.
Thanks.
Chris, let me just say, Chris and Mike, that only gets us around to the generator. The rest of that east site is still closed through the summer.
Yeah, I mean, what we've been discussing is what I know there's a lot of stuff in those storage areas. So, what can we do to get to the storage areas for the facilities folks? So I don't have a right answer, but it's something we're talking to Dave about in terms of when that happens. What can we, do we pull a gate back to give them access to just that area or something along those lines? So
this is also the athletic director and getting access come August into those areas for the fall sports when it starts up before school. Yeah, those conversations have been ongoing.
Yeah. Tom Caputo.
Yeah, thanks. Two quick unrelated questions. One of them was, as you look at this calendar, are you anticipating the use or the need for premium time to get any of it accomplished, or is that not a risk to the budget? And then secondly, curious about when fields become playable. Someone asked me about that, and I couldn't remember the exact timing for the various fields.
So I can take the first question around premium time. So there's always been the need for premium time accounted for in our scope to pull off what we need to pull off this summer. Right? So that was a known, anticipated piece of the puzzle. We can't, there's not enough manpower in such a small area of the building concentrated to get the work done without working premium time. So to answer your question directly, at this time, we don't anticipate premium time above and beyond what's in our original agreement. That's the only way I could say it. I mean, we have been, like I mentioned, we're planning 2 shifts. We're planning Saturdays. We have float days for Sundays in our schedule. We're not trying to work Sundays, but we have acknowledged that we might have to. And that's stuff that we're accounting for within our GMP. to the extent of what we know. That's why we're doing it shift by shift. To pull this off, we know this crew needs to be on Saturday. And this crew needs to be on, but the float day for Sunday if something goes wrong. And we're projecting that manpower. That's why we want to know how many crew sizes and what the premium time associated with that manpower would be so we can account for it. It's the only way we could really get it. And we're also, and hand in hand with that is holding subs accountable to the original schedule. So, we had a schedule, we bought a schedule, the subs own a schedule, but there are certain things with the phasing that, it's a tough thing to account for. So it's a mix, Tom, in terms of us holding people accountable and then projecting within our budget, the premium time needed to pull this off.
Okay. But the premium time that you think you've scheduled and needed is already included in the budgets that we're working with right now and the estimates of.
Exactly. So it's one of those things that we have allowances within our GMP, and those GMP allowances are related to phasing. So we have projected cost within those allowances for the manpower and the premium time associated with that manpower based on our schedule. So that's why we're going into the level of detail we're going into with the shifts and the crew sizes. So we know, okay, there's 4 people, they're going to be here on Saturday. What's that going to cost? And we have that cost projected within our GMP. So that's the whole effort. We're trying to, no surprises. And I can't sit here and tell you as a team that we're not going to find something that's going to surprise us, that's going to, pivot the plan. And we have float days built in there to try to account for that. But there's always that risk that we're going to see something or something's going to come up that we're going to have to respond to. But right now, to the best of our ability, we are doing this all within our GMP for the summer because this was always the plan. We always had, it's on the drawings, it's on our schedule from Jump Street. We could never execute this work without doing it this summer. So.
The quick answer to your question, Tom, is what we know we have built into the schedule and into our budget for premium time, and there will be premium time.
Yes.
The second question you had pertaining to fields, Mike, you're planning on getting sod out there within the next week or two for starting with soccer, right?
Correct.
And then moving into softball. We need a growing season for that. So there's a very good chance that the fall sports and athletic director is aware of this, particularly soccer field could be ready. The baseball field, by all looks, will be sodded this fall because we'll miss the spring sodding with where we are in that schedule. Don't really want to sod in the summer, but we'll see how that plays out. And so that growing season will take place through the fall and be ready for spring baseball. I will tell you that Pat and I had an opportunity to take 8 members of the Brandon Grant Foundation out to that field last week, along with members from Skanska and CHA and Perkins and Will, and boy, were they just loving it. The arch is up. We were working with them to site the memorial. The pavers are getting ready to go down. The field is starting to take shape, and they had a lot of questions, and they were pretty excited about where things have gone. So a lot is happening now on that side.
Thanks.
I hope I answered your question.
Yep. Thank you for the update.
So weather takes, Mother Nature has a big role in how and when those fields are ready, but we've been talking to the athletic department and they're aware of that, Park and Recs and so forth. All fields are fenced in, so we'll have those fence closed and locked so people don't mistakenly find their way on those fields before they're ready to try them out. Any other questions? Okay. So the next item on our agenda is our project cost update, and let me share that with you. I'm going to apologize ahead of time because for whatever reason my computer is slow today, and I don't want to stop this meeting to restart the whole thing. So transitions are slow. I have to find ways to fill the gaps by talking. But anyways, here we go. Don, you're going to run us through this. Don, can't hear you. Don? Can you folks hear me?
We can hear you.
And here's on.
Bill, he's just looking for his mute button. I think it moved on his computer somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm here. I'm good.
All right.
Somebody.
Sorry about that. So this is the monthly report that we do prepare and submit to the building committee every month. If we go to the top, Bill.
Yeah, for those that are looking for the first time, we've pretty much focused on the far right column. Sorry, again, my computer's a little jumpy, but it's the projected final cost. The one right immediately to the left is where what we've spent to date.
Yeah, and the important column that we do concentrate on, because it allows us to make the projections, is the fourth column from the left. It says current projected final cost, which we do update monthly. And this is the one that we plug in the latest information on cost to date and our forecast to complete every element of the work. So good news is this is holding pretty consistent to what it was last month. Our overall forecast is very close to what we had at the end of last month's project update. So we get to the bottom.
We're getting there slow.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
1, 2, 3, 4. Okay,
Right.
so it's what we're showing is a projected final cost of $296,471,522, which exceeds the original MSBA approved amount. But below that, I've added in the additional funding sources, which are funding some of the extra costs and cost overruns on change orders for the project. So as we've discussed previously, we've got the CARES Act COVID money. We've got 2 ARPA funding sources that are factored in there. And then there's a small refund amount on the builder's risk policy. Most of those payments go direct to Skanska, but there was some money that they had expended that will actually come back to the project on one of the changes. So with that all being factored in, the total funding amount increases to $296,817,639 versus our projected total altogether, which is on the same line down there, bill of $296,471,522. And what that does is yield the overall cost versus the budget, and we are projecting under by $346,117 right now. And so that's what we are calling as the project contingency at this point. And below we show the history of the contingency over the last 6 months. So we're pretty close to what we were last month. We do get reports every single week from Skanska on updates on their cost exposure log. Sometimes it goes up, sometimes it goes down. It is a weekly exercise that we have to go through and understand as best we can the changes that are happening, contemplated, and make sure that we're carrying the most accurate numbers that we can. So this was based on the cost exposure log that we received last week. So so that's the overall summary of where we are in the project.
So billing wise and project cost wise for construction, we're at just about 96% complete, right?
Correct.
About 87% complete on phase 2.
Yep.
When you look at the anticipated taxpayer burden for this project, at least money committed, we keep tracking that.
Yeah, we're a little bit behind on some of the propay information coming back to us from MSBA, so this is the same as last month's numbers.
Right, about 94%. Propay helps that, right? Because propay is the money that comes back from the state of Massachusetts.
Correct. Yeah.
But we're tracking just under where we are for project completion, so that's good news too. So, any questions from committee members on costs? The remaining is backup in the set that we typically don't page through. I think, Don, right? We don't really go through this unless committee members want to spend some time studying.
The only thing of interest, I think the biggest one, scroll down a
Page
couple of pages to see
Page
where we are. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, so I'll go there, which is, I'm a little slow here. There we go.
This is the one that pulls everything together for us and is what we use in terms of the updated numbers from Skanska. Current PCO that's going to be voted on this morning. And then there's the series of additional cost exposures from Skanska from their cost exposure log broken down by the various categories. So
And
PCO.
people say, what, let me just stop here. People say, why is that a negative number? And that's still reflecting of some of the adjustments we've made over the past few months that are still working themselves through final cost events.
Yeah, we have some deduct change orders which are driving that cost. Those costs were in a previous category last month. They've been moved up to final review at this point. So then we have the total of outstanding cost events of $127,550. Pending revisions down to 3,000. That category is almost closed out, and the potential exposure cost remains at 175,000. We keep an eye on that to see, if all of that's going to be needed. Currently, it is projected to be needed, so we leave it at that. And so this yields the total projected cost for Skanska's work at $256,806,248, which was what was plugged into the cover sheet.
I go back to the 175 that I have boxed. That's, when we say to be used, that's sort of what we've been calling the unknown unknowns. There's not a definition for it, but there's potential risk for some of that, or maybe all of it to be used. Case in point, what Tom was asking Mike earlier regarding, what happens if we have all the premium time covered. We may have to dip into that if things don't go as smoothly as we're projecting, right?
Yeah, and precisely for that reason, when the Skanska demolishes the temporary stair and we do the breakthrough, everything's projected as best as it can be, but there will be some surprises that will probably require us to tap into these funds.
Okay, any questions from committee members on cost so far? We're going to get into the requisitions shortly. I just want to pause here and ask any questions from the committee members.
All right, will do.
So I think where we are total project budget wise is holding steady from last month's report.
Pretty close.
Yep. And we are 3 months away. Things are getting closer. So news is trending good. The last pieces of this package include the requisitions, and this month and going forward, we're going to have multiple requisitions from Skanska because we're breaking out the PV costs, so it helps the town accountant manage that better, since some of that is being funded through ARPA funds.
Yeah, we've done that, Bill, for a couple of requisitions on the PV and even the PCCOs, those that are dedicated to PV, we've kept those separate as well.
So today we have 3 actually instead of 2, because last month we didn't get the PV rec in. So we have actually a March PV rec, an April PV rec, and then an April project rec.
And this one happens to be the main requisition for Skanska for work through April 30th, with the current payment due on that requisition of $1,855,000. It's jumping all around here.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to zoom in. I got a slow computer today, but
I get it. There it is. Yeah, $1,855,472, and that's for the main job, exclusive of the PV.
And again, our project agreement to date is the $256 million, and we've completed $245. So when you look at this project, we're almost at a $10 million project moving forward. And the other 2, I'll try to get to those pages quickly. They're smaller, obviously. Oops. I don't think we attached the right ones. Sorry about that. But they'll come up during the rec. This is the main one. the other two are small.
Yeah, we have a requisition through the end of March, requisition through the end of April.
PV.
Strictly for the PV, and offhand, my recollection was combined, that was somewhere around 200,000. I'll look that up though. We'll have the specifics on.
Yeah, we have that's going to come up during our payment.
Yeah,
so.
okay, we're good.
I'm sorry, folks, I duplicated. Any questions from committee members then on the project cost summary? What we call the project cost events. Okay, I do want to let folks know that you don't have a halo over me, but I did drop my laptop, unfortunately, and my screen cracked. And so now I've got bad lighting off my camera. Soon to be fixed. Okay, our next item on the agenda then is pending changes. As Don or someone said earlier, they should be and they are getting fewer and fewer. And I think at this point, there's just a couple, and I'll have Vital quickly go through those at a very high level and ask the committee if they have any questions. Can folks see this?
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay.
Make my screen a little bigger here.
Let me see if I can make this a little bigger.
Okay, no, I got it. Or, so yeah, there's a few on the pending revisions log. One is the floor tile at the fieldhouse entrance. This is something that came out of discussion a couple months ago now. We're looking at that, changing some of the tile at the entry to the fieldhouse from tile to rubber flooring. So we're trying to work out where that line starts and stops in that area.
This is particular just for folks to know, right, where you have that, we have that ramp that goes down. So it's a little fussy with the tile. We're just trying to figure out the best way to work that through.
Yeah, there's also CCD 479 from a fire department walkthrough. There's a couple of fire alarm pull stations that were added. So that's what this is for. And CCD 480 is for accessible stall clearance. This is also something we looked at. I spoke about a month or so ago, and just trying to figure out some modifications that need to be made there to achieve clearances at that stall.
One stall in front of the auditorium, correct?
That's right. Oh, and also at the bottom, I guess there was one that we sent out, which was clarifying some locations for wayfinding signage, coordinating with some of the trees that are being planted now, and in phase 2 next, making sure the signage works with those, so there's no sightline issues.
So this follows a meeting that Pat and I went to in front of the planning board this past month since we last saw you, along with some members of our team, and presented to the planning board and got approval for campus wayfinding signage. So this is when you get on campus, instead of having the sidewalk panels that you see or the temporary plywood signs that are out there, or some of them maybe paper signs, those will be permanent signs. I think there's 7 of them, I think, across the whole campus that tell you where the auditorium entrance is if you're entering from one side of the campus or the other, or where the middle school entrance is, or where the field house entrance is, or where deliveries go. So that's what this is about. And if you've gone to larger campuses, you've seen wayfinding signage that helps guide you through when you're not familiar with where you're going. So that's what this is. And that's in our budget too. We had to wait for a planning board hearing that got us on the schedule so that we could present and get that approved, since it's having to do with site plan design. Any questions on this? Pending, there's a few pending changes, clarifications. Okay, not hearing anything. We'll go right into 3 potential change orders or PCOs that were issued for the team review. So these are not fully vetted, but Tony, I think you go through these. Again, these are getting smaller and smaller. And just to remind folks that are listening, these are all accounted for in our project budget summary. Can you see 900 here, Tony?
Yep. So PCO 900 that's for some slab prep to install the vinyl flooring. I'm getting an echo. So it's to prep the slab for the vinyl floor installation. There's some a floor, an old floor drain in the space that needed to be infilled, and as well as some transition areas from the old concrete to the new concrete that was poured in that space. So in order to get the laminate to lay nice and flat, there was some additional floor prep outside of the contract documents that needed to be done.
Sorry to jump in, but this was in the existing locker room. So this was part of the old field house building. This is the last portion of the renovation scope. So these were existing slabs that we're trying to meet, with the new flooring. I just want to clarify that piece.
If Emma was here, she'd probably ask, is that it? So this is the existing field house conditions that kept giving us challenges with existing conditions or in latent conditions that we weren't aware of. So this is a transition component that need to be resolved.
Correct.
By the way, are the field house lockers completed now? All the new lockers in?
The new lockers in the high school spaces are in, and we're installing the middle school spaces and the team spaces between now and the end of the summer.
Good.
So the students are using the new lockers in the high school locker rooms right now.
Okay, I'll have to take a look at those soon. Next one, Tony.
Hold on, Bill.
Bob,
Bill, going back to that one, has this amount been considered in the previous allowances, or is this a charge against our dwindling contingency?
this was already in all of these that are the three that are presented are all accounted for in our current contingency cost exposure log.
Thank you.
Whereas this one is a credit, the next one, but that's also included already.
Right. So PCO 904, this is to decommission the irrigation wells. We didn't have the proper GPM achievable to irrigate the fields with the first well. The project decided to abandon the remaining wells and take a credit for that. And there is also an add in here for abandoning the well that has been drilled, cutting the casing, the steel casing, and filling it with I'll call it flow fill to abandon that. So that is also included in this PCL.
Okay, so just to continue on that story briefly, we abandoned the drilled well solution when we found that we couldn't achieve, I don't forget how far we were, like 800 or 700 feet or 5,000 feet, whatever it was. So we just couldn't get water. So working with the town, we are now connecting to municipal water supply. Actually, that's almost done. And we looked at what that exposure would be. And in the end, that was the best. Someone say, why not use the pond? They're going to keep a meeting moving forward by just saying that the pond's water condition is not necessarily favorable to putting in aerosol form, spraying it across a playing field where people might be going through and getting exposed to it. So we're just about ready to turn that spigot on and start irrigating and getting sod down. So that's good news. Okay, this last one, just hold on, is 905.
Yes, 905. This is to transition from bollards to concrete block, basically retaining wall block for vehicular protection around the generator. It also includes the option to have a couple boulders set in front of the generator. So it'll be a combination of block and boulders. And that's still, we're still negotiating that.
But you said to transition, this is actually a change because Belmont Light and Power and 37 jurisdiction wanted more protection around here. And this is actually a less costly solution than ringing this with steel bollards, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. So it's not necessarily a change, it's a change, but it's a less cost change than the standard steel bollards.
Right.
So these are still being reviewed, as Tony said. They come to us. We'll probably see them in a month or so. Any questions from committee members? Okay, we transition then into next, which are reviewed and ready for approval PCCOs so prime contract change orders. Trying to get my slow computer to come up. We broke these down into two this month. Again, as Don said, anything to do with PV, we're tracking separately. It's still an impact to the project, but it helps town accountant manage this on purchase order or how they account for where things are getting drawn from. So the first one is PCCO 51. I'll share it. And Vital, I think what we traditionally do is have you read through these. We have fewer and fewer, so maybe we'll read through, I don't know.
Just thinking 4,000 up or something. And
Okay,
then
yeah, just a
if there's
few.
any questions, obviously, I think.
Hopefully you're seeing this now.
Yeah. Sorry, it's a little different order than I had seen them. So the first one's PCO 894 for $16,037 for memorial brick engraving. This is to replicate the names on the bricks that were originally on the Brennan Grant Memorial brick wall. Those were not, ultimately they weren't able to be salvaged in a way that we could reuse them. So this cost, we already own the bricks themselves. We're doing it on a walkway now and a path that leads into under the arch and leads into the Brennan Grant Memorial Field. This is a cost to engrave the bricks. I think there's about 160 plus bricks that are engraved. And this is the cost just for engraving them, but also obviously taking the bricks we own, delivering them to the place to get engraved, and also shipping them back to the site to be installed again. Maybe go down to, I guess, the art wing ventilation. As you might remember, this was something we spoke about, I think a year ago now. We went over a few different options in these spaces. This was at a request from some of the from the school and some of the teachers about having some additional ventilation in some of these 3D art room spaces. And this is the cost to install those 3 units below the ceiling and have the additional ventilation above what was required by code. PCO 881, electrical conduit bleacher foundations for $4,632. There was a request to add some outlets or an outlet at each of the baseball and softball fields. And so this is a cost to run conduit up to the concrete bleacher pad, which sits right behind the backstop. So these outlets would be at the backstop of each of the softball and the baseball fields. Going down to the last one, 891, crane reconciliation and darkroom exhaust cost for $21,687. This is somewhat related to the one we just spoke about the art room wing ventilation. It's the final piece of what was already approved, I believe, last month or the month before, for additional exhaust and not additional ventilation, I should say, in the darkroom and the darkroom photography class. There was a request for additional ventilation and also some additional points in the photography classroom that weren't, there was a change in program use in that space to be able to use some of the chemicals in the classroom, not just the darkroom. So this is a cost for the hood in that space and some of the costs for the crane to install the larger unit on the roof, which was taken out of the last approval as we were still negotiating and trying to understand what that cost would be. So this is the final outcome of that.
Okay, so that kind of takes us through some of the bigger ones. We have, as I said, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 or so. And the total for this change order is $155,435. Any committee members have questions? Bob McLaughlin, I see your hand up.
Yeah, this isn't big dollars, but $1,800 and 10 cents, $10, 8, 10, and 10 for vandalism. Roof vandalism, supervision, and repair. What's the story on that? And do we have insurance?
Our deductible for insurance, I'll start, is $25,000. So yes, we do. But let's have someone explain that without getting into a lot of private details.
Maybe CHA might be the best, but my understanding,
let's go with CHA. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tony, Tom, Don.
I'll take it, or let me start with it. Over the course of the summer, we had an incident where some individuals got up on the roof and spray painted some areas up there. That spray paint had to be removed for warranty purposes, adhesion purposes of the materials, et cetera.
On top of that,
Just to be clear, this was on the construction side.
Correct.
phase two, and we increased our levels of security as a result of that. Belmont Police got involved. They talked to the individuals. That was the last time that happened. Okay. Overall, Bob, when you look at the big picture, and yes, this was brought to the community's attention today. I'm very proud of our community. We've done quite well. This has been a target that's been sitting out there. In some places, things happen constantly. Skanska probably has plenty of experience with this. We've done a very good job of keeping a tight site, keeping a site that's been safe for not just workers, but also the neighborhood. And this one-off incident, no one got hurt. Kids will be kids. They learned a lesson and we moved on. Any other questions? Okay. As I said, we'll need a motion to approve PCCO number 51 in the amount of $155,435.
So moved. Bob McLaughlin.
Okay,
Pat second. Yeah, Pat second.
So all in favor, please turn your mics on, folks. Patrice Garvin.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you. John Phelan, you here?
I am here, Bill. Aye.
Thank you, John. Pat Bruce.
Aye.
Diane Miller.
Aye.
Tom Caputo.
Aye.
Joel Mooney.
Yes.
Kate Bowen.
Bowen, aye.
Jamie Shea's gone. Bob McLaughlin.
Yes.
Chris Messer.
Yes.
Joe DeStefano's not here. That's right. Mike McAllister.
Yes.
Amy Zuccarello.
Zuccarello, aye.
And Bill Lavallo. Yes. Aye. Okay. Thank you. So we'll move on to the other one. There's one item in it. And Don, I think you were going to take this one, correct? Don, we have to put a pointer to your mute button.
I found it on a different screen. We separated this from the previous change order because this is PV related. And again, for accounting purposes, to keep this distinct and separate from everything else. This is a relay switch, actually sophisticated piece of equipment that needs to be added into the main electrical room. This was a recent requirement from Belmont Light and Power that they need an interruption ability that if there's a problem on their side of the line in the Belmont Light system, that immediately shuts down the PV system so the PV is not backfeeding into Belmont Light's system. So it's a bit of a complex issue, and this just came up in the last month or so. So this was an added switch relay that will accommodate this ability to shut the PV system down rapidly. So we had to get this ordered. We separated this from the actual work of putting it in place because there is a long lead for this, and we need this in time to be able to get the PV system up and running.
Any questions, committee members? Okay, so this is the only item on this change order. So this change order, PCCO 52, in the amount of $8,652 would need a motion for approval.
So moved. Bob McLaughlin.
Pat second.
Okay. Committee members, please turn your mics on. All in favor, Patrice Garvin.
Aye.
John Phelan.
Aye.
Pat Bruce.
Aye.
Diane Miller.
Aye.
Tom Caputo.
Aye.
Joel Mooney.
Yes.
Kate Bowen.
Bowen, aye.
Bob McLaughlin.
Yes.
Chris Messer.
Yes.
Mike McAllister.
Yes.
Amy Zuccarello.
Aye.
Bill Lavallo, aye. Okay, thank you. So that's our change orders for today. We have Sandra that's going to talk to us next about some items we need purchase orders for our move. I'm hoping you could still see my screen. Okay, good. The first one isn't actually for the move. The first one, Sandra, you could explain, is a part of the technology that's going in right now.
Yes, this is part of the phase 2 technology with LCN. They're actually installing all of the wireless access points. And in the field house, we actually discovered that we're going to need plastic covers to protect those wireless access points. And so there were plastic, this is to provide the plastic covers for the field house technology.
So these are so something doesn't hit them.
Exactly,
yeah. Right. So this is the change order in the amount, sorry, it's small folks, but in the amount of $685. Sorry, but we have to have everything approved by. Any questions? We're going to take separate votes as we move through these. So this is I'll need a motion to approve LCN for $685, new purchase order.
So moved, Bob McLaughlin.
Pat, second.
Okay, all in favor, please turn your mics on. Committee members, Patrice Garvin.
Aye.
John Phelan. John Phelan?
I think John had to step out.
Okay. Pat Baruch.
Aye.
Diane Miller.
Aye.
Tom Caputo.
Aye.
Joel Mooney.
Yes.
Kate Bowen.
Bowen, aye.
Bob McLaughlin.
Yes.
Chris Messer.
Yes.
Mike McAllister.
Yes.
Amy Zuccarello.
Yes.
And Bill Lavallo, yes. Okay, what's the next one? Restream. I remember these folks.
Very popular with us.
Why don't you explain first what's going on with this, and then we'll get to the approval of this.
Okay, so this is a quote basically for all of the moving supplies that we will need for the Chenery move, and also for some of the interior moves that are happening from the phase 1 side to the phase 2 side of the building. What this is a quote for all of the crates and the bins. We're also using mobile library cots. It's also for the bubble wrap and the paper, everything that's needed for the actual move. The reason that we go with Restream is because they provide the types of crates and bins that are best used for when you have to pack well in advance and you have teachers that are trying to pack their classrooms, and they need to be able to move the crates aside once they fill them. So they're mobile, and they make it much easier for the teachers to kind of move them out of the way as they're packing throughout the remainder of the school year. And it also makes it a lot easier and more efficient in terms of the actual move. So, there's a number of folks that can actually push the crates to the truck and get them loaded up, rather than having individuals have hand trucks and have to lift cardboard boxes onto the hand trucks. It goes much slower. So these crates, the way in which we've done it is that the teachers wanted to be able to have some time to pack in advance of the move. We said that we would actually stop that process in May and allow for them to pack from May until the end of June. And then the move will take place actually in July from Chenery. Teachers are back in August. So actually what you're looking at is a series is rentals for a certain number of crates, bins, and the library cots for, anywhere from 5 months to 2 or 3 weeks, depending on, or 2 months, 2 months, 5 months to 2 months, based on when teachers come back. Some teachers may be coming back as early as like August 21st. Some may not come back until September. They will need a couple of weeks probably to unpack. So by the end of September, we expect all of the costs to have been incurred. All crates need to be returned at the end of September. So this actually shows, like I said, 2 to 5 months worth of rentals. We're trying to be very conservative in terms of if teachers don't need the crates and they're not packing now, we don't rent them. And that will bring this number down. This is kind of the worst case scenario is what we're looking at. We're looking at, if we were to order these crates, originally this number was higher because we were looking at ordering half of what we needed for phase one. And that's after looking at the numbers we had for phase one, and then actually taking a temperature with all the different teachers in terms of what we thought they were going to need, what kind of classrooms they had, what were the differences and changes from Chenery to the high school. So basically we came up with a number that's close to half of what we had in phase one. We applied 5-month rental to that, and then we decided to strip down that 5-month and say, no, this is going to be incremental, and we were going to be as conservative as we could be cost-wise in terms of renting out crates. We weren't going to rent them until the teachers actually really needed them, and we're going to actually fill them. So that number came down. It was originally closer to 50,000, and I expect that it will continue to come down. We don't think that the teachers are going to use half, but we need to have that money in the PO just in case we find that we also using this same quote for the internal moves that are happening also from the phase one side of the building to the phase two side. And again, it's so that we can move things easily across that phasing line. We can push these carts. We don't need individual movers with hand trucks dragging those across. That anybody, that we can have a whole team of the movers moving these crates all at one time. So, and individuals like myself.
Right. So Sandra, by the way, for this team is known as the moving czar for this project. Everything that moves or has a place in transition has to go through Sandra. As you can tell, she's full of energy and is on top of all this. So thank you, Sandra. And this is a good, I mean, you were working closely with Carl anyways, but this is a good approach, I think, to set up a budget. And yeah, we hope we don't use it all, but we have to make sure that we could, if we need it, we could act quickly, because this move happens, once it starts, it's happening very quickly. So we have to move and get out of Chenery, because there's a move happening inside of Chenery that's not part of our project, but the school department needs to have that all done by beginning of school this fall. Okay, any questions from community members? And if not, I'd take a motion to approve Restream PO in the amount of $38,465.
Move approval, Bob McLaughlin.
Pat second.
Okay, please turn all your mics on. Committee members, all in favor, Patrice Garvin. John Phelan, you back? No. Pat Bruce,
Yes.
Diane Miller,
Aye.
Tom Caputo,
Yes.
Joel Mooney,
Yes.
Kate Bowen,
Oh, and I.
Bob McLaughlin,
Yes.
Chris Messer,
Yes.
Mike McAllister,
Yes, sir.
Amy Zuccarello,
Zuccarello, aye.
and Bill Avallo. Hi. Okay. So our last one, oh, I don't think I pulled it up. Stopped loading up my machine. Just give me the, no, Clean Harbors.
Okay.
This is you can start talking about this while I pull it up.
Okay, so the Clean Harbors quote is for the chemical move. This is for the science department going from Chenery. All of the chemicals that they have in their chemical storage rooms for the science department are moving from, for the 7th and 8th grade, are moving from Chenery to the Belmont Middle High School, the new spaces that they have, science chemical storage rooms in the new middle school. And this move is actually scheduled to take place August 21st. And we're working with Clean Harbors, who is able to actually give us a really good rate to do that move.
I'm trying to get to the number. I think it's like $1,000.
Yeah, it's 1,011, I believe.
There it is.
Or 1,100, yeah, 1,011.
And so this is a one-day move, but handled by professionals and fully insured. And I don't think there's any question here that these folks know what they're doing. So any questions from committee members? And if not, may I take a motion to approve Clean Harbors purchase order in the amount of $1,011?
So move, Bob.
Pat second.
Okay, all in favor, committee members, please turn your mics on. Patrice Garvin,
Aye.
Pat Bruce,
Aye.
Diane Miller. Diane Miller. Okay, Tom Caputo,
Aye.
Joel Mooney,
Yes.
Kate Bowen,
Oh, and I.
Bob McLaughlin,
Yes.
Chris Messer,
Yes.
Mike McAllister,
Yes.
Amy Zuccarello,
Yes.
Bill Lovello, aye. Checking one more time, Diane Miller. Okay, she must have stepped away. Okay, well, thank you, committee members. I'm just gonna, my poor computer here is struggling. I think I'll make it through. We stopped sharing? Not yet. Our next section is paying invoices. We have several to do, but we break them into three categories. One being consultants, another being vendors, and the third being construction for Skanska. So let me just pull that up. And this is where you take over, Mike McAllister. Sorry, but it's going to take a little.
Sorry about that. So thank you, Bill. Good morning, everyone. I'll read each one. I'll wait for Bill and the others to provide some context and details. And once I've read all the payments, we'll take a vote on that bucket. So Bill, just a warning, I think I may have them in different order from what you have on screen. I know all the invoices are there. They're the same 12 and the same amounts and the same vendors, but maybe just a different order. So here goes with bucket number one. A payment made to HubTech in the amount of $1,250 dated April 12th, 2023 regarding invoice 22-15525-2 specific to purchase order number 230511.
This is for HubTech. This is for phase 2, the storage of the smart boards. This is one of the monthly rental fees.
Second one in that bucket. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, we're moving through all these. Right.
Okay. Second one, a payment made to Lisa Giblario in the amount of $1,172.50 dated May 2nd, 2023 regarding BMHSBC FY23 invoice number 2.
I'm sorry, what?
But hold on, let's skip over. I put her with the with our consultants, so we'll go to UTS.
Oh, sorry. Yep. The next one is a payment to UTS in the amount of $1,235.50 dated March 31st, 2023 regarding invoice 105013.
That's concrete and soils inspections.
Next one is a payment to UTS in the amount of $885.50 dated April 28th, 2023 regarding invoice 105461.
That also is for soils and concrete.
And the last one is a payment made to WB Mason in the amount of $8,450 dated January 27th, 23 regarding invoice 235-908045 specific to PO 29094.
This is for the phase 1 flags for the high school.
Finally got flags.
Yes.
So,
we were just waiting on one base, so that's why that's so late to pay the whole invoice.
I can't tell you why, but there was a tremendous shortage of American flags through COVID. So I guess that's a very patriotic thing to say, but that's what was going on there. So we had 4. These are the 4 in yellow here you see in front of you, hopefully. And any questions from committee members on any one of those? And if not, we're going to take a motion to approve all 4 as read into the record.
I'll move the approval of those 4 vendor invoices as read into the record by Mr. McAllister.
Pat second.
Okay, I'm going to please committee members turn on your mics on. I'm going to run through this quick. All in favor? Patrice Garvin.
Aye.
I don't think John's here. Pat Bruce.
Aye.
Diane Miller.
Aye.
Tom Caputo.
Aye.
Joel Mooney.
Yes.
Kate Bowen.
Bowen, aye.
Bob McLaughlin.
Yes.
Chris Messer.
Yes.
Mike McAllister.
Yes.
Amy Zuccarello.
Zuccarello, aye.
Bill Lovato, aye. Thank you. Next
All
group.
right. Bucket number 2. I'm back in order now here, Bill. Payment made to Anderson and Krieger in the amount of $294 dated April 14th of 23 regarding invoice 146282.
And that's for consultation for the committee on a couple of things, mostly on some claims and on PV. And that was for March.
Oh, sorry, you're right. Second one is a payment made to Anderson and Krieger in the amount of $1,091 dated May 11th, 23 regarding invoice 146774.
Same kind of scope, but this is for the month of April.
Next one is a payment made to CHA in the amount of $132,200 dated May 5th, 23 regarding invoice 38840-50.
This is our monthly draw from our OPM.
Now it's a payment made to Lisa Giblario in the amount of $1,172.50 dated May 2nd of 23 regarding BMHSBC FY23 invoice number 2.
This is for our good record keeping for the first quarter of 2023.
And
Thank you,
finally, in
Lisa.
this bucket, a payment made to Perkins and Will in the amount of $101,558 dated April 28th, 23 regarding invoice 199647.
And this is the monthly draw for Perkins and Will, our design team. Any questions from committee members on this group of our professional consultants? So not hearing any comments.
Hearing none, Bob McLaughlin moves approval of the invoices of our professional team as read into the record by Mr. McAllister.
Pat second.
Okay, all in favor, committee members, Patrice Garvin? Patrice? Okay. I don't think John is here. Pat Bruce?
Aye.
Diane Miller?
Aye.
Tom Caputo?
Aye.
Bill Mooney?
Yes.
Kate Bowen?
Bowen, aye.
Bob McLaughlin?
Yes.
Chris Messer?
Yes.
Mike McAllister?
Yes.
Amy Zuccarello?
Zuccarello, aye.
And Bill Lovallo, aye. Thank you.
And finally, the third bucket is a payment made to Skanska in the amount of $130,398 dated April 5th, 23 regarding application number 52.
That is the first of the two PV requisitions.
Second is a payment made to Skanska in the amount of $1,855,472 dated May 3rd of 23 regarding application number 53.
And we reviewed this earlier today. This is the application for April construction effort.
And finally, to finish this bucket off, a payment made to Skanska in the amount of $56,231 dated May 3rd, 23 regarding application number 54.
That is the second of the PV solar requisitions from Skanska.
Any questions on those? Hearing none?
Hearing none, I move approval of the three Skanska applications as read into the record by Mr. McAllister.
Pat second.
Okay, all in favor, Patrice Garvin?
Aye.
Thank you, Patrice. Pat Bruce?
Aye.
Diane Miller?
Aye.
Tom Caputo?
Aye.
Bill Mooney?
Yes.
Kate Bowen?
Bowen, aye.
Bob McLaughlin?
Yes.
Chris Messer?
Yes.
Mike McAllister?
Yes.
Amy Zuccarello?
Zuccarello, aye.
And Bill Lovallo, aye. Thank you. Hopefully you're seeing, so that concludes our invoice payment. Next item on the agenda then is a construction update from Skanska. Is this Mike Morrison that's going to run through this?
Sorry, Bill. Yep, that's me.
Okay. Do you see the screen?
Yep. All right, so work completed in April. A lot of the major work you're seeing in April was outside. So we were in pretty good shape with the soccer field. We were putting down the final loam layer. So that's an athletic mix loam that's going on in the field. It's different than the loam we have elsewhere. So that was imported and spread on the soccer field closest to the school. We also started that and finished up the drainage layer and started that activity for the softball field, which is the middle of the three fields. On the roadways, we continued with our curbing, which allowed us to pour sidewalks along the parking areas, as well as our own F building. Inside, we had, and we planted trees. So that was on the phase one side during April break. We planted some trees on, what we call the school side of the fence. And we're continuing with tree planting as we speak on the phase two side as we finish landscaped areas. So that's for outside. Inside, I mentioned it's been a lot of punch list, commissioning activities, and final cleaning in advance of furniture showing up. I'm not sure there's really much update. I think the photos will tell a pretty good story as well. Looking ahead, more of the same. Outside is going to be where most of our actual construction activities are happening, finishing up sidewalks where we can, with the exception of what we talked about earlier about the loading areas where we have to wait. But curbing, paving, the one area we have paving left at the turn in, and field development. So that's the main stuff outside. And inside, it's like I said, final cleaning and punch lists. So this is a shot of the media center from level 3. So on the right through the the curtain wall is the main media middle school entryway. The bus loop is to the right. You see some of the bookshelves, and the large media center wall with the acoustic panels is the red item in the background. Next slide, Bill. Same room, different perspective. So this is in the adjacent hallway on level 3, but this kind of gives you a view of the bus loop. The sidewalk in the middle we bored recently, and now we're top dressing the island, so to speak, to receive hydro seed. So that's coming along. This is on the exterior facade. The last areas we finished up were our loading bays. So these areas of curtain wall at the stairs, that's the vertical strip piece between the brick, is where we use to load a lot of our materials in and out of the building with a lull. So this is one of the last pieces for us to finish with metal panel and curtain wall. So that's something that we finished up. There's still minor scope related to painting a metal trim, but for the most part, we're wrapped up on the facade. This is kind of what I was talking about with the imported loam layer on the soccer field. So you can see in the foreground, in the background, the softball field has that loam layer. The drainage layer in the infield is in, and you see the infield mix, which is a different soil material for the infield of the playing fields. This is a teacher break room. Not sure if we showed this in the past. We were trying to show some spaces that you may not have seen. Next page, Bill, art rooms. So as you walk into the art rooms, we're just trying to give the committee a feel for a lot of the storage options that are included in the design. So purpose will have storage racks all along this whole wall. Just kind of showing some of that install, which happened in April.
What's not here, though, is the fact that there are moving sliding walls that move back and forth horizontally that cover this up and allow for teaching surfaces. So this has this provides two opportunities. One is storage behind the teaching wall that moves in front of it.
Yep.
Work in progress. There we go.
So this is the middle school entryway. So those that have come in through the high school, I'm sure most of you have. We have a very similar condition at the high school side. You have the walk-off mat, the security window to the administration wing, which is right on the other side of that wall. So this is work that we put in place in April in advance of punch list. So new stuff for the month. This is pretty much the other perspective. So on the background of this photo is the walk-off mat through that doorway on the right of the screen. So this is the middle school administration desk that would, be receiving people as they check into the building. I imagine a purpose there. And the last photo, I believe, so this is stair 4. This is the crux of the summer work. When we took this photo, our back is against the phasing wall. So the temporary stair is to the left in this picture. This is the stair that we're finishing this summer and will be the main, we'll pretty much replace the temp stair. So this is right on the other side of the phasing wall on the middle school side. You can see at the bottom is, you can't really see it because it's all protected, but there's a plinth similar to what you see on the central stair of the high school, GFRC clad plinth that people would walk up to get to the stairs. So this is it. This is the summer scope. We don't have a picture of the big wall that's coming down, but this is right on the other side of it.
So any questions from committee members on this? When I was in there yesterday, there were a lot of doors that were closed. It said, no entry, final cleaning, and certainly looks finished in those rooms when you look in. So pretty exciting to see. I guess you didn't take many pictures of that, but.
So on a picture 9, Bill, if you go to slide 9, you can see that we kind of broke our own rules by sneaking into the space to take a picture, but the sign is on the door.
Oh yeah, do not enter.
Do not enter there. We kind of broke our own rule, but that's essentially our process. We lock it, we put the sign on it. If you're going in, you have to get our permission first. We'll unlock the door for you. So that's kind of our process.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So hearing nothing, I have one more item on the agenda formally, and that's to review open meeting law complaint that was filed beginning of this month. I'll pull it up. This was distributed to building committee members. Bob, did you want to just highlight this?
Yeah, let me just say, we have a new complaint from Mr. Allo, which is a very highly technical complaint. He does not appear to be making any issue that we are not within one of the 10 exceptions for the purpose or for the reason of going into executive session. His complaint seems to be directed at process of the session. To remind everybody, process has 5 factors. You have to start an open session. You have to call a roll call vote. I'll skip number 3 because that's the one issue. You got to state whether you'll be back and reconvene, and you have to keep minutes and so forth. Let me read number 3. Number 3 says, before the executive session, the chair, and I emphasize chair, shall state the purpose for the executive session, stating all subjects that may be revealed without compromising the purpose for which the executive session was called. And what the basis of the complaints by Mr. Ellis seems to be is that immediately before my motion, Bill didn't make any statement, which is the same statement that I made in my motion. You will note this morning I asked that we defer the minutes because I really think we're in compliance with paragraph 3. First of all, Bill always reads the agenda, and I want to check the tape. And the tape of the agenda for the meeting, in fact, if I have it in my hand, it's a full statement that the agenda item that there will be an executive session, and it goes on and it states the purpose of the executive session is to discuss strategy of future litigation. So I really think that puts us completely in compliance. But beyond that, I looked at the minutes that Lisa prepared, the ones I asked to be deferred. And before the executive session, there was a whole section discussing about accountability. Of course, the purpose for which we went into executive session was to discuss accountability and to not impair our strategy by exactly what our issues were and who exactly were our targets and so forth, so that there was no obligation to go beyond, in my judgment, than merely stating that it was for the purposes of accountability. Having said all that, I do want to review the tape. I do want to see that the minutes accurately reflect exactly what preceded going into the motion, the motion and then the approvals that go into executive session. There are 2 things we do have to do today. One is we ought to vote. I think we can vote by consensus to see if there's anyone that objects, Bill, that we again hire George Halls to file our answer. The second thing is a recommendation from George Hall that for clarity's sake going forward, Bill will make a statement and just so we don't get into one of these technical issues in the future. So Bill, I'll yield to you if you want to make that statement.
Thank you, Bob, and thank you for your assistance in this. So in response to Mr. Eiler's open meeting law complaint regarding this committee's April 28th executive session, I want to state for the record that as noted in the agenda for the meeting and in Mr. McLaughlin's motion, the purpose of the executive session was to discuss strategy with respect to litigation that the town might initiate in connection with the middle and high school project. It was and is my judgment that the discussion of such possible claims, including any further description of their possible grounds, or the parties against whom such claims might be made, in an open meeting would have a detrimental effect on the town's litigation position. Going forward, if the committee has occasion to go into executive session for any purpose, I now understand that as chair, I must introduce the topic in this manner, making any necessary declarations that may be a prerequisite for a motion to go into executive session. So as Bob mentioned, I would like to work with town council to prepare and file a response to the open meeting law complaint. Provided there's no objections from committee, I'll proceed to do that. And I see one hand up from committee members, so Patrice Garvin.
Thank you, Bill. I just wanted to speak to
this open meeting law violation. I understand it's a technicality that might have been violated, by the committee. However, I do want to speak to the resources of the town. I respect every resident's right to file an open meeting law complaint. That's not what this is about. I just want the residents and the committee to understand that with a technicality such as this, the resources that are involved is money and time for town council. As you know, this is a very busy time of year for us. There are deadlines, statutory deadlines associated with an open meeting law complaint, which means that council has to drop what they're doing in regards to what the town needs them to be doing at this point in time to focus on this. So this is a resource impact to the town, and for a technicality, I would just hope people understand that this comes with time and money. Thank you.
Okay, so committee members not hearing any other objections, I'll proceed to work with George Hall from the firm of Anderson Krieger and get a response out quickly to this open meeting law complaint. So I see no other hands up for committee members, so I'm going to open this up at this point to public comments. And the first one up is Brian Idler. So good morning, Brian.
Good morning. Thank you. Brian Eiler, 42 School Street. I am the complainant for this open meeting law complaint. And there are three main points to this complaint, and two of them are technicalities. And, yes, they're technicalities, and it's important that committees follow all the rules, et cetera, et cetera. But the third point deals with the committee's justification for going into executive session. They did not meet that standard. Okay, you did not meet that standard. All right. There was, as the Attorney General has stated in other rulings, the mere possibility of litigation, I'm quoting, the mere possibility of litigation is not sufficient to invoke purpose 3, which is the purpose that you invoked. So there was no information given to the public regarding any litigation, ongoing or potential litigation. No litigants were named. So you did not meet the level required to go into executive session. This is not a mere technicality. And to say that it's a technicality and that the town shouldn't be devoting resources to answering this or examining this is kind of ridiculous. The open meeting law is very, very important. And if you don't follow all these rules, especially for executive session, you're only going to breed yet more cynicism and mistrust with the public. Right? You can't just pop into an executive session and have a secret meeting if there's not good reason and if you're not following the rules. You did not follow the rules in this case. Please, I encourage the entire committee to read my full complaint. It's not very long. And please see that I put a lot of consideration into this. I consulted town officials. I consulted attorneys. I did a lot of reading myself. These are not mere technicalities. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian. And I do just want to respect the fact that you are doing what you feel is right to better Belmont, like all the rest of us. And I'm going to thank you, oddly as it sounds, to continue to make us better. And certainly, I already admitted that there's improvements that could be made there. So, Lisa Pergoli. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Lisa.
I just want to let everyone know that I finally met Lisa face to face at town meeting, and and I've never seen you before, so it was nice to see you face to face. So
yeah,
go ahead.
Thank you. Okay, my first question is I don't understand how you can continue to tell us that the project is on budget and on time, because first of all, we've given you over $1,658,450 in additional funds already. So that you're not on budget if we had to give you all that. And that's because we gave you money. Say whatever you want. I've been doing this for way too long, but I know that there's millions of dollars of the items that were taken out in that cost overrun. So I know that, but specifically this over $1 million is given to you. That's not, you can't be on budget. And constantly with the first phase, and now we're talking the second phase of premium time. We all know that things do happen, but last time we got jammed with it. Now this time, I don't understand how, like, if you're working in the summer, like you're talking premium time and including, that means Saturdays. Why does it have to be? This is a huge operation. And to not know the scheduling of school, and why does it have to be premium time? And in the summertime, why would it be premium time if you work a Saturday? I mean, everybody, all kinds of people work Saturdays, Sundays, whatever. But the point is that this is stuff that should have already been scheduled. You do the bulk of the work you need in the summer. I mean, it's just totally, as I've said before, as an engineer and working for an engineering company, this just is beyond anything I could ever comprehend or I would ever be able to work for, because they'd fire me if I was unprepared like this. But that's one thing. And so obviously that means you can't be that much on time if you're budgeting already for premium time to get you to your finished state. There are problems here, and it's constantly through this whole time we've been told this, and I know that it's not true. And my other thing is that when the spending that you had on that last slide, how much it was going to cost, all of this for an update. You didn't get the meeting notes. I'm kind of lost here. In that you gave us a number of how much that's going to cost to move, all the moving expenses, which was, a few $1,000s. Now, says most of them say per month. So is that total just for a month's worth of moving, that 38,000? Or is that the total for you anticipated for months? Because that could be a lot of money if this is going to be months. And the last thing, I mean, there's a couple of things. I mean, now you're hooking up water to the town. I mean, who's paying for utilities? Do we know how much we're going to be paying for all the extra utilities in this school? And the dark room should have had an exhaust fan appropriate for what was going on. That's gone over 21,000. The total, it's just, I don't understand how this can be on time and on budget with all of these issues and all the money that we've given you and all the money that's been kept when items have been removed. It's just, it's just awful for me to sit here and watch this, see this, and know the truth and be lied to time after time.
Okay, well, I'd like to respond to that. There's a couple of those. First of all, I'm going to ask Nancy to explain premium time one more time briefly, just so folks understand what that means. Regarding what we approved today for moving, that was the containers for the total move, anticipated as the largest. There is per month in there, but that was added up for the months and the durations that Sandra talked about. What we don't have yet in front of us are actually the moving expenses. So I'm sorry, the moving cost, the cost for the movers, that's still being worked out by Sandra through bidding process, and we'll have that to committee shortly. So moving is within the budget, but there are different pieces of moving. There was one other thing you were saying prior to the ventilation, and I didn't write it down, but yeah, a lot on your mind, Lisa. But let me ask Skanska, just Mike Morrison, to explain what the premium is for premium time. And as we discussed, premium time is in the budget, and you need to do that sometimes when you can't do things through the duration that we have. We are on time to move the students in to start school on September of this year, right after Labor Day. That's been the plan since 2018. That's still what we're planning on doing. We talk about things that move within our schedule, but the overall project schedule, that's the reference that we continue to make, is that we're on time, and the same for on budget. We had a draw from the taxpayers as approved at town meeting. I was in front of you in 2018. We have not gone back to get any more money from town meeting for that budget. Yes, we had some allocations that were made that were specific because of wants, but they are approximately $1.5 million through federal funding that is helping to offset our COVID costs that we estimated to be well above that $1.5 million. So, and then we had to make adjustments as things moved on to move scope around so that we could stay within our budget. But the overall project, as originally planned, is to get a middle and high school built for the community, and that's what we're delivering at the end of the summer. So one more time on premium time, Mike Morrison, can you explain what that means? People do work Saturdays. There's a component to that, but at so many hours, you have to start paying statutorily. You have to pay something different, right?
Yeah, so right off the bat, I think just anytime a trades worker is working a Saturday or Sunday or more than their agreement, the worker themselves are getting paid premium time. So that's a given. What we're talking about is who's picking up the premium. So in our case, it's a blend. So we're the subcontractor owns the schedule. So the premium time, if they bought the schedule, they own the premium time to get the work done, right? So that's our role here, is to hold the subcontractors accountable to the schedule. There are things that fall outside of that original schedule and sequence with the phasing, and that's what Skanska is working with our allowances within our budget. That is not within what's already committed to Skanska. We're covering the premium time for those things, so we can't say we're hold us sub accountable. So anytime someone's working a Saturday on a job site, the worker's getting paid premium time. That's a given. It's just who's responsible for putting the bill. So I just, we understand the scope. We understand what it's going to take to pull it off, and we've carried that cost within our agreement to get the work done. And that's, I don't know if that answers your question, Bill.
That's good, and that's enough. We talked in detail. So I want to move on to Brian Karpler, who I haven't heard from in a while. But good morning, Brian. You should be somewhat excited that we do have product delivery sitting on the side. We should have got a photograph, but we have stacks and stacks of panels sitting ready to go up on the roof.
Congratulations, Bill. Thank you. I just wanted to, because we had an energy committee meeting last night, Brian Copperell, and they were asking for an update. I just was curious when panels would begin installation. I apologize, I joined late, and just a favor to ask if, the construction update could, as we go along here, just give us that quick summary of where solar stands, maybe a percentage of completion. That'd be awesome as a favor, but just curious to hear that initial panel date.
Okay, so
if you have it.
Yeah, we do. And so we did get them delivered starting this week, and the intent is to get them up. We have to get the effort would be to get the panels and the racks and everything for a roof together and hoist them, rather than just one hoist of panels and come back, and you can't do anything with the rack. So we're waiting for the racking system that's going to be showing up in a little while, and then we'll start piling it up on roofs one section at a time, and they're going to be installing one section at a time. It's all starting this month with the plan to work through the summer to get it fully energized. So that's the update. We're still waiting on a couple of pieces for delivery on the Belmont light side to understand when all of that can be interconnected for the final turn on switch. But we will, going forward, make sure there's an update, a little more visual on PV installation on these committee meetings. Thank you, Brian, for bringing that to everyone's attention.
Thanks, Bill. Appreciate that.
I don't see any more hands up. I don't have any more business for this meeting. Committee members, is there anything on your mind that you want to bring up as new business? Okay, hearing none, I'll take a motion then to end the meeting. Just letting you know that our next meeting is a business meeting. It's currently scheduled for Thursday, June 22nd at 8 a.m. It's a virtual meeting. I guess between now and then, I wish you a wonderful Memorial Day, and summer is right around the corner. We have 4 more weeks of school. We have 13 weeks to finish this project. A lot happening. I'm pretty excited. We'll have a committee tour sometime in August, still working out the date. And we have tours of the students and teachers coming in for the middle school side and before school is out. So a lot of activity, a lot of excitement. Keep in mind, first day of school is ribbon cutting. That's September 6th. And we're working on a dedication date for this project, which will be later after that.
Bob McLaughlin moved to end the meeting. Good meeting, Bill.
Thank you. Thank you, committee members. I'll take a second.
Yep, Pat, second.
Okay, the meeting is over. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.